Om Vasudevasutam Devam Kausachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishno Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishno Vande Jagadgurum Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Pranams from Dr. R.J. Kalpana. Welcome to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. In this session, we will continue our study of chapter 16, Daiva Vibhaga Yoga, the classification of the divine and not so divine qualities. Thus far, from Shloka 1 to 10, Krishna introduced us to the divine qualities and the divine gifts available to a human being. Absolute fearlessness, perfect purity, a sublimated ego to humility is all requirements for those walking on the spiritual path. And then he goes on to talk about principles of conversation. And for those in heartfulness meditation, I recommend Lalaji's Principles of Conversation. That keeps in line with what Krishna has to say here in the Bhagavad Gita about how we should keep our tone and pitch calm and uniform throughout, maintaining peace of mind and calmness in spirit, and thereby not creating unnecessary agitation in the others who listen to us, and not suffering from agitation ourselves. Purity in thought, word and deed. And then Krishna goes on to talk about the qualities of people who are not so divine, who have strayed from the path of their own nature and succumbed to the illusions of this world. Shloka 11. Giving themselves up to innumerable cares, ending only with death, they remain devoted to the enjoyment of sensuous pleasures and are positive in their belief that this is the highest limit of joy. And so here Krishna talks about their only sole purpose in life is to indulge in sense pleasures. That is their definition of joy and happiness. Any deprivation of sense pleasures leads them towards depression, dejection. Shloka 12. Held in bondage by hundreds of ties of expectation, and wholly giving themselves up to lust and anger, they strive to amass by unfair means hoards of money and other objects for the enjoyment of sensuous pleasures. So such types of people have countless expectations of life and from people around them. And so they are driven by the two sticks of fear and temptation, by anger and lust. And in order to indulge their sense pleasures, they seek unlawful methods, adharmic methods to gain money and to pursue their happiness. Shloka 13. They say to themselves, "This much has been secured by me today, and now I shall realize this ambition. So much wealth is already with me, and yet again this shall be mine." So here there is a constant focus on the object of their desires and realizing further objects of their desires. So it's a never ending cycle, a never ending treadmill that they are upon. Shloka 14. That enemy has been slain by me, and I shall kill those others too. I am the Lord of all, the enjoyer of all power. I am endowed with all supernatural powers, and I am mighty and happy. And so here Krishna talks about that quality of the Asuras, ones who are not divine, that they have immense powers capable of defeating Indra himself. And that leads to immense arrogance and ego. And therefore, they think that is the summum bonum of life. They're so intoxicated with pride that they feel there is none in this world and beyond who can oppose them. Hiranyakashipa is a prime example of this when, after conquering Indra's kingdom, Swargaloka, he declares that he is the chief of all three worlds, and therefore everyone in his kingdom should worship him. Everyone should chant only his name. And then his son appeared, Prahalada, who refused his father's dictum and will only worship Mahavishnu and will only chant his name, the Ashtakshari mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya. Shloka 15 and 16. I am wealthy and own a large family. Who else is like unto me? I will sacrifice to gods, I will give alms, I will make merry. Thus blinded by ignorance, enveloped in the mesh of delusion, and addicted to the enjoyment of sensuous pleasures, their mind bewildered by numerous thoughts, these men of a devilish disposition fall into the foulest hell. And so here Krishna talks about people who, because they have wealth, they make sacrifices, they give alms in charity, and think that that is enough because they are blinded by their own ignorance. They are so delusional. They do not understand that this is the path that leads to more arrogance and pride, because it only pleases their ego. Shloka 17. Intoxicated by wealth and honor, those self-conceited and haughty men worship God through nominal sacrifices for ostentation without following the sacred rituals. So such people, because they have wealth and power, they make sacrifices and they make a show of worshipping their gods merely because it pleases their ego. There was once a scholar on a television program who asked the priest who was describing a certain puja to be undertaken, and therefore her question was, So you asked me to place 108 flowers in front of the god. So shall I place 108 flowers made out of gold, or should I place 108 flowers made out of silver? The priest who was listening to this question addressed it thus and said, Madam, if you want to show off your wealth and status in society, you may very well go ahead and place 108 flowers made out of gold or silver and show off to your friends and family. But God will be happy with a flower plucked from the garden and offered with bhakti and shraddha, with love, devotion and humility. Shloka 18. Given over to egotism, brute force, arrogance, lust and anger, and calumniating others, they hate me, the inner controller of all, dwelling in their own bodies as well as in those of others. Full of egotism, such people, far removed from any semblance of divinity in their behaviors, they are subject to arrogance and lust and anger, and they cannot come to terms with their own antaryaman, with their own conscience, who is as much present in such people as is present in the good people with the divine qualities. Shloka 19. These haters, sinful, cruel and vilest among men, I cast again and again into the wombs of the Asuras in this world. So these people who hate anything that doesn't subscribe to their own status, to their own outgrown egos, who are driven by their own samskaras and who are cruel, Krishna says, because they have no saving grace, they are again and again and again, they will be constantly born into wombs that are impure, into wombs that are not conducive to even having divine qualities, and are therefore driven once again by their own tendencies, by their own burden of samskaras. They keep coming back into the world. And also here we need to understand that it isn't necessary that they be in the human species, because in the next shloka 20 we note, failing to reach me, Arjuna, these stupid souls are born life after life in demoniac wombs and then verily sink down to a still lower plane. And therefore here Krishna clearly, categorically states that having given them an opportunity to be born in the human dimension, if they fail to take advantage of it, and strive to work on the path towards fulfilling their human destiny, which is God realization, which is liberation, which is merger with the divine. They continuously indulge in their senses and are trapped in this world of illusion. Then they are born again and again in those wombs which are impure and not conducive for a spiritual life. Eventually they succumb, and therefore they even go down to lower planes, to the lower dimensions, to a subhuman species. They could be born in the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom. They could be even born in the microbial world. And then, of course, there are the 7 worlds, the 7 dimensions below earth. Where there is so much of suffering and pain. Shloka 21. Desire, anger and greed, this triple gate of hell brings about the ruination of the soul. Therefore, one should avoid all these 3. Desire. Desires are a trap. I desire this, I desire that. So every time we desire something, we tend to commit. We tend to commit ourselves to an immoral path, an unlawful means, because there is no end to desires. It always mounts, and desires are always accompanied by greed. And then, if our desires and greeds are not fulfilled, there is frustration, and with frustration comes great anger. And so Krishna says, these ruin the soul, so avoid these 3. Shloka 22. Freed from these 3 gates of hell, man works his own salvation and thereby attains the supreme goal. And so here Krishna talks about, if you are free from desire, from greed, from anger, then you're free from this world of darkness, and you can work towards your own liberation. Shloka 23. Having cast aside the injunctions of the scriptures, he who acts in an arbitrary way according to his own sweet will neither attains perfection, nor the supreme goal, nor even happiness. So once again Krishna is warning us, reminding us that if we do not function as ordained in the scriptures, the Vedic scriptures, and we act in an arbitrary manner, which, look at the world around us today. That's how people function. They neither attain perfection of liberation, nor do they attain the supreme goal of merging with the divine, nor even do they have access to a modicum of joy and happiness. Shloka 24. Therefore Krishna says, the scripture alone is your guide in determining what should be done and what should not be done. Knowing this, You ought to perform only such action as is ordained by the scriptures. So in conclusion, Sri Bhagavan is telling us that we should follow the Vedic scriptures. The injunctions that are written there is how to conduct oneself, how to conduct one's lives in the highest mode of purity. So we stand a chance of God realization, of liberation, and of union with the Divine. तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे दैवासुरसम्पद्विभागयोगो नाम षोडशोऽध्यायः। ॐ श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु। Thus, in the Upanishad sung by the Lord, the science of Brahma, the scripture of yoga, the dialogue between Shri Krishna and Arjuna ends the 16th chapter titled The Yoga of Classification between the Divine and the Not So Divine Characteristics. Om Yogeshau Satchidanandam Vasudevau Rajapriyam Dharma Samstapakam Viram Krishno Vande Jagadgurum. Shri Krishno Vande Jagadgurum. Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu.